Welcome to the Colon with the Boys podcast, where we bring you new content creators every week. We are your hosts, Asen and Nathan. This is episode 42, titled Chase Your Dream. We are joined by a special guest from our very first episode, Larz. We talk about his growth on Twitch, TwitchCon, and we settle some of those controversial questions streamers or content creators may have about networking. So sit back, relax, and open a cold one.
Yeah. I just wanna crack that door with that boys, yeah.
No more baby mamas, no more kids to watch, cause I got babysitters. Now it's time for licking, come on, give it to me, cause it's my escape. Now it's time to annihilate, let my troubles all die away. I'm on a diet, Please do not try this, cause do not invite it. I'm dripping in go call the Midas. This night I was excited, it got me reignited. I've been waiting so long I can't fight it, but now I'm Mike Tyson inside, I'm on fire. It ain't nothing like a true bro. Brotherhood worth more
I'm gonna practice my mouth breathing this episode, so.
Yeah, okay. About that. I was editing Jason's episode. And there was a point at the very end where you could clearly hear a nose whistle.
I can't nose whistle. I don't know how you do that.
Well, I have a deviated septum, so
anytime, the magic powers of a deviated septum.
Yeah, so every time like I get a little congested, it always seems to happen like right when we're getting ready to do a podcast, like allergies set in. I don't know if it's nervousness or what, but my get congested in my nasal cavity, and I'll just be like, I'm not a mouth breather. I hate mouth breathers. So I breathe through my nose.
Damn degenerates.
Right? Well, it just looks like they're sitting there getting ready to catch flies or something to eat. But
that's what I do, man.
So I sit there and I'm breathing through my nose, and as I'm like breathing in, it like whistles. It's disgusting. And
can you do it on command? Like,
no, because I don't know how I do it. It's just when I breathe, I guess it just makes the whistle noise, like the guy from Family Guy or whatever his name is.
Hey, boy. Yeah.
Back here.
They're down on the basement.
So it's super annoying. Like, I don't know. Makes me self-conscious, I guess.
Well, it's okay, Nathan. It's all right.
I'm going to practice mouth breathing.
But yeah, man. So Larz has been our first episode. 41 episodes later, we're getting you back on.
Yep.
It's pretty crazy. You were our very first one.
Mm-hmm. I know. I was actually like, I was looking through and I was like, was I the first? Oh yeah, I was. That's right. I remember. And then I was like, I looked. There are like pages. You guys have done like what, 50 now? 49. This is the 49th?
This is the 42nd.
Third. Second? No, I think it's third.
42nd.
It's okay. I'm still learning how to count.
Yeah, same.
But no,
well,
like
maybe
a lot of...
With the midweek mashups, this may be getting close to 49.
Yeah, actually, with the midweek mashups, you're probably right on the count. But those were numbered separately. Either way.
See, I know more than I realize. That's all.
There you go.
Well, there you go, dude. You just knew more than me. But no, like first episode, a lot has changed since then. Like I feel like on our end as hosts, we were pretty nervous at that point in time, like about the podcast.
Nervous, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I still get the EBGBs, but like, you know, it's become a lot more.
Nervousness is good. It just means that you care.
Yeah.
I really don't care though. That's the thing.
Oh god.
Just kidding. For the record.
No, yeah, like this is what being an adult is.
Yeah,
you just go through the motions and pretend you care, but like in all reality, there's like maybe two or three things that you care about, and that's like usually food and sleep.
Exactly.
And occasionally having sex.
Yeah.
On the occasion.
Yeah, I don't care about.
But when you get all those together, it's like the beautiful trifecta. It's like food, sex, sleep. It's like you have a good meal on your like candidate's body, then you like have great sex with them, and then you just sleep it off. It's like that's the adult dream right there, right?
I mean, so once we're done with this podcast, I mean, you guys are down to do like a threesome or something, right? I mean, we all
together.
I thought that
Absolutely.
the purpose of the podcast was so that we could have a threesome.
It's all a setup. It's just, a conversation.
This is the foreplay.
Yeah, the foreplay. It's the date right before,
Yeah.
Have you told
So who's
him?
paying?
Have you told him you're moving back to Oklahoma yet?
Yeah, I did. So
Oh, okay.
we're definitely gonna be.
I'm very excited about that.
Me too.
We're definitely gonna hang out and do stuff on camera.
Ooh,
Oh yeah.
my free
Oh
webcams.
boy.
Oh boy.
Yes.
But yeah, so that's gonna be awesome once I move back. But anyway, so like since the first episode, how's life been? Like since what was it? February was our first episode. So how's it been since then?
It's been good. Yeah, there's been like definitely ups and downs. I think that you could say there's been probably more ups than downs. I'm currently in an up, so everything feels good
Oh, that's
since last time we talked.
So it's
But I mean, like it's been good. Overall, it's been good. A lot of changes. A lot of things have changed in my
Yeah.
personal life, which has changed a lot of things that happen when I stream or broadcast. And overall, some of those changes have been like unpleasant. I didn't like them at the time, but now I'm starting to see like a lot of the benefits of a lot of the changes that have happened in my life, and I'm really grateful for them.
Yeah.
And I think that's a sign of true maturity, in my opinion, is like being able to come to a point when you're like, regardless of what the change is, I'm going to make the best of it, and use it to my advantage however I can. And I think that I've done a lot of growing personally that has kind of made a lot of those changes beneficial for me long term. So I'm excited to see where things go even from now.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like I mean, I don't want to get in the details, especially on the podcast about it, because I don't like to bring drama here, except about Nathan. But
Yeah.
I recently quit my job, and it's been like really uplifting, and like I was in a dead end job, and I just wanted to get out of it, and now I feel much better about the future and like what we can do with the podcast and just the freedom of what's in the future for me. So I definitely get that feeling for changes in your life.
I know that I actually like re-listened to the episode that we did together like back in February this afternoon, and one thing that I remember us kind of talking about then was like, if you are able to do something that you love and make that part of your occupation, then like even if you don't make a lot of money, like that is the real dream, I think, for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
And I mean, you kind of talked about it a little bit, and I won't go into a lot of details, but right now I'm not working and I like it.
Yeah.
There's, I mean, I say I'm not working. I'm working my ass off,
Yeah.
Day in, day out.
Yeah.
I'm not formally employed by anybody. I have an affiliate contract with Twitch, and that's where my allegiance lies. And it's kind of nice to, not have to show up for a shift for something, or, go to a meeting, or, call in about a question about something or work related, because when I wake up, the thing that I'm most passionate about, I get to start thinking about. And before my feet even hit the ground out of my bed, I'm thinking about Twitch, and I'm like, what am I going to do today that's going to be around this? And not all my thoughts are about that, because I think that's just ridiculously stupid and unhealthy. But I think that it's really cool that I don't have other things like just stupid obstacles in the way. I don't have to jump through hoops and make things happen. I can do kind of what I want right now. So I'm sure you're probably feeling that same way, especially with the podcast too. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I think right now, I may be talking out of my ass because I'm not like a fortune teller or anything, but I think right now you are definitely on an uplift in the sense that, you just, you're able to do it full time. That's kind of what I was getting to. You're able to do streaming full time now. And since the first episode, I mean, I've seen you grow, because back then, I'm not like talking down on anyone that has these kinds of viewers, but back then you had, 15 to 20 people. And now you're starting to normally see in the 50s, and you're getting close to that partner pushing point. And I think now that you have all the time to put into it, you can definitely make that push in. And that's why I'm really excited to see you going forward. I'm getting like chills. Like, thank you for those really kind words, because that means a lot, and when you say it like that, like
I think that every streamer kind of fights this battle of like, well, and especially, okay, so I could get into another tangent regarding the term streamer and broadcaster, but let's shelf that for a moment. We'll come back to that because there's stuff that I could definitely mention regarding that. But I think that like every person on Twitch, whether they're small or big or somewhere in the middle, they get into this weird internal conflict of not wanting to fight for viewer numbers or any sort of analytics or statistic or number, but they, it's always kind of in the back of your mind, and finding out how to grow organically and naturally and not focus on like some pixels on a screen that represent a number telling you how you're doing and letting that jurisdict and dictate your internal impressions of yourself.
Right.
And I fought that for a long time. I think actually when we talked back in February, I was like kind of wrapped up in that. I was kind of playing the game. I was like, okay, what game could I play that'll, be good in the directory and I could get more follows or, have more people interested and stuff. And since then, I like really freaking started experimenting and throwing some weird shit at the wall and seeing what would stick. And dude, like it was this Thursday night. I did Just Dance on stream. I was dancing to stupid music, and like I'm this like dorky ass white male with no dancing experience, and I wouldn't have done that like 9 months ago. There's no way, because I would have been like, yeah, that's not going to be good for the channel. It's not going to grow us. Blah blah blah. And now I'm just like doing what I like to do, and I've kind of found like myself. And when I've found myself, and I do just whatever, I know that there's enough people that are loyal to our community that they're going to come regardless of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And they're going to have fun. And then, somebody else might pass through and be like, dude, that looks cool. I want to be a part of that. And they're going to, jump in and realize that this is more than just, some kid playing games on the internet. It's about relationships, man. Really what it comes down to, it's about relationships.
Yeah.
I care about the people on my channel. And it's multiplied, so many times over since we last talked.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily the point. The point is that there's like, I would like to say that I think that we have, I'm really biased, but I think that I have like a really great community behind me that I fucking love. Right. And I think that kind of sense of ownership over it, goes a long ways. And the more people I can be like, yo, look at how awesome this is, look how awesome that like this isn't conceited at all, but it's like, dude, look at what all these like other folks that are really enjoying their time here in this community and what they're getting out of it. You could be a part of that too, if it's a good fit for you and if you like it. And if you don't, then like find some place that you do fit in, because there's some place on Twitch that's going to work for you. No, don't tell them to well, there are times, funny because we just talked about Just Dance. There, I got to read you this DM real quick.
Oh, please.
Because there was a guy who DM'd me. He whispered me during this Just Dance stream, and he said verbatim, damn it, I would fuck those hips of yours like there's no tomorrow. And then like 15 minutes later, he goes, I'm literally jacking off to your stream. And I'm like, God, you're out of here, man. No, I'm not okay with that.
Damn,
There's some people that you got to draw the line in the sand and say, yeah, I don't think that it's definitely you. It's not me.
Right. Now, what, you think he was trolling, or was that like legitimate?
Dude, I don't know, man. I was doing Shakira, hips don't lie, dude. I don't think I'm that sexy, but I've been told. So like, I'm just gonna assume it was the truth. And this guy had his pants around his ankles and he was getting sloppy. Like,
hell yeah, dude. Man, like at that point, I feel like my life would be complete. When you,
I was like equally flattered as disgusted. I was like, I have never felt so used in my life.
Like,
but also, damn.
There's a comedian talking about it we just watched. I think it was Ron White. He was going over kind of a skit. He's like, this guy came up to me, was talking to me, and at the end of it, he was like, I had a picture of you I used to masturbate to as a kid. And he's like, you could tell he was really flamboyant. And he was like, I was just shocked. He's like, because at this point, he's like, the amount of people I thought that were jacking off to me was 0. Now I've got 1. So hey, if he was true, dude, you further in the ball game than I am. That's for sure.
Yeah, but you never really know what's gonna happen. And I think that's like the really like enticing thing about Twitch is, I've always got like some sort of game plan to some extent. There's some structure, but it's really loose. And once you start involving people, it's just you have no idea what's gonna happen. And that's the kind of thing that like will always have this long lasting I don't know what the term is. It's like shininess about it. Like, oh, this is fun because you never know what's going to happen, man.
Yeah.
I've had times that the unthinkable has happened. Somebody comes in and, like first time to the channel, within 5 minutes they sub and then they donate and then they like start talking about their, things that are going on in their life or whatever. And, and we're like, before we know it, by the end of the night, we're all cracking jokes and laughing and having a good time. And, there are other times that like, you have somebody come in and tell them that they tell you they're just like really struggling with things, and they tell you watching your stream makes it a little bit easier to get through the day, and I just want to tell you thanks. And there's just so much that could happen and you really never know, and just kind of sticking your foot out there and doing it is so satisfying.
Yeah absolutely, man. Like that's the kind of community that you want to build. And just kind of going to your earlier point of like numbers and everything, and I think it's really important to kind of differentiate, because I don't want anyone to think that you're not. Sorry, my voice is weird right now. So
you're okay. you got a little bit of tickle in there. I can hear it. You want me to scratch that out?
Yes, please. Like I don't want anyone to think that you're not paying attention to like your numbers and analytics and things, because I think that's important to have it in the back of your head to know where your channel's going and what you're doing.
Yeah, it's like a baseline.
Yeah, exactly. Though. And like
it's a baseline.
A lot of people kind of miss that point in the sense that they hear people say like it's not about the views and it's not about all that stuff, and that is true, but at the same time, like it's not out of your head. You know what I mean? You're still going on there, you're having fun, you're doing whatever you want to do, and that's great. Like doing stuff like Just Dance. I was there, by the way, for a song request, so that was amazing.
Yeah, that's right. I remember you coming in. Yeah.
But
that wasn't you that sent me that DM, was it?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it was my second account. I'm sorry. I thought I was watching chatterbait.com/Larz.
Oh yeah, dude. He's looking for the
you found my other website.
Yeah, the under the desk webcam.
Under the desk webcam, yeah. Oh man. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the pulse. It's the baseline. It's where you can kind of look at when you don't know what else to determine whether or not you're growing healthily. And you can say, well, what does it look like here? And you can take a look and say, oh, well, I was playing this game and I was also kind of in a mental space that wasn't healthy. And I know that I wasn't being as entertaining as possible. And that's probably why things went down. So it's just data. It's data that you can put on your big spreadsheet of all the things that you want to look at to determine how things are going. Yeah. Then it's not the sole proprietary like way of saying, okay, this is good or it's bad. Right. Because there's lots of really large communities on Twitch that aren't healthy, and it's because it's a giant ass revolving door of people coming in and out, and there's no consistency there. But then there's also really small communities that these guys are averaging only like 5, 10, 15 viewers on a regular stream, and they have been for a long time. We're talking years even. Yeah. And it's not that they're not healthy. It's not that they're not growing healthily. It's that, you have to look at all the other different variables and things that you can measure it off of. And I think that people have a lot of trouble looking for those minute details when they're trying to determine how they're doing on Twitch. So they can't necessarily look at and say, you can't it's ambiguous. It's intangible to say that just specific conversations or interactions and engagements with your community are a tell of whether or not you're growing healthily. But I think that once you start dialing into those things and you start thinking about them more and you start putting those at the focus, the other things kind of fall in line.
Yeah. Right. It's all about, having fun at the end of the day. So
yeah, if you're not enjoying it, then what the fuck are you doing?
I don't know. I don't know what they're doing.
How many
But-
people go to work every day, don't enjoy what they're doing?
A lot.
That's the
That's
sad
true.
part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all about choice though too.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing too. So if you're so focused on the numbers and when the numbers aren't good, you're not having a good time, then like goof. I don't even know what to say,
Yeah.
man.
Right.
Like that gets me so heated, man. I'll sometimes watch, like I do a lot of lurking. I'm a resident lurker when it comes to Twitch, man. Like, and you know, I'll watch a streamer and they'll get raided and they'll be like full of energy because there's like, you know, 3 times as many people as there were before the raid.
Right.
And then they'll like be all full of energy. And then as you know, people start to dwindle off, they like just like it looks like somebody just took all the wind out of
The
their
soul
sails.
right
and
out.
just like yeah, and I get it. Sometimes you get that adrenaline rush of holy shit, this is fun. There's a lot of people here. It's really exciting. But I had a really good conversation with somebody at TwitchCon, and we were talking about viewer engagement, and we were talking about how like sometimes you'll watch a streamer that has like 0 chat and interaction, and the moment somebody like pops up and says, "Hey," that streamer sometimes throws like 20 questions at him. Oh, how you doing? Hey, what did you eat for lunch today? You know, like what clothes are you wearing? Like, what have you played this game? You know, what was work like today?
Attack the
You got any
shit out
plans
of
for the
him.
weekend? And you're like, dude, like, chill the fuck out, man. I just want to watch you play freaking Fortnite, okay, man? Like, just like, okay, cool, yeah, I'm here. And like, and then we had this conversation, and we talked about how the solution to that kind of mentality is to like run your stream like as consistently as possible. If there's 10 messages in an hour-long period in your chat, you would interact with them in a certain way. And then if there were over 1,000 in an hour period, you would interact with them in a similar
Right.
way. Of course, there's going to be some adaptations, and you have to make some compromises here and there. But just because you've got 5 people on your channel, or you've got 100, you shouldn't change.
Yeah.
You know, it should still be you, because the moment I see people doing that, I go back to follow, and I'm like following on my toolbar. I'm like, okay, who else is live, man?
Right.
I want to watch somebody that can just enjoy and relax and not feel berated or feel like they're not being themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
People are looking for that authenticity when they come to Twitch, man. They look for people that they can kind of glimpse into their life a little bit and see what's going on, you know, because they realize really quickly we're all just people behind blue screens doing shit. We're all same in that matter.
Well, hopefully it's not blue screens of death.
Sure, dude.
Yeah.
So
I don't know, man. It depends. Sometimes you play like No Man's Sky and it just blows up your whole rig.
that game. Anyway, so now that you're full time, what does your schedule look like? Are you doing mornings and nights? Like what's the plan? Like what have you changed so far since going full time?
Yeah, so this is what it means to be a full time streamer. As soon as you wake up, which you don't sleep, period. No, you hit go live, and then you stream until you die of exhaustion. Yeah. No. So right now I stream. So my baseline for because I want to hit on full time here a little bit more in depth after I kind of just tell you what my schedule is. Because I have a consistent schedule, and I think it's the most committed I've ever been to a schedule. I feel like, and this will kind of roll back into what we were talking about with the difference between what I see as a streamer versus a broadcaster. Right now I stream during the like kind of PM time slot. So I start around 7. Actually, I start at 7, unless like I really have to take a dump, and then like we're talking 7:05, man. Yeah. So like 7 until 3 a.m. And that's 7 p.m. to 3 a.m. Central Standard Time, and that's Sunday through Thursday. That doesn't mean I can't do some flexibility, because I plan to here and there. I kind of want to play around with some daytime streams because I want to see what the engagement with folks is during that time.
Yeah.
But since I started, I've always been a PM streamer. The thing with being a PM streamer is that it's a very competitive time slot for a lot of people. And it's also kind of tough because there's a lot of people that I want to watch at night, and I don't get to because I'm also live.
Yeah, that's true.
And I usually like go past when a lot of people do, so I don't get to catch them after my streams usually. So it's a double-edged sword in that sense, but Yeah. So regarding consistency, so I have streamed. There have been. I'm actually coming up on 18 months here later this year,
Oh,
close
nice.
to the end of December. Actually, yeah, probably around January it'll be 18 months, and there have been pockets of time that I've kind of shot in the direction of being full time, but I've not like really like made it a formal thing or like said I'm streaming full time, and it's kind of just been like kind of in my mind, and it was kind of along my standards.
Yeah.
I didn't have the community behind me holding me accountable to it, through whatever means. And during those times, I kind of felt like it was just really easy for me to like wake up one day and be like, I just don't want to stream, man. I'd rather just like sit in my underwear and be a slob today. So I'm going to do that and cancel stream and tell them that I'm sick or something. And not like I'm like a liar or anything or deceptive. I'm just saying, like, God,
Now
I
you
just
guys
listened
know.
to what I just said, and I was like, God, nobody's gonna trust me for the rest of my life.
Watch his
but
Twitter
no,
messages.
like that's an exaggeration. But there were times
Right.
that I just be like, I'm burnt out, and I don't feel like it, and that's okay. Like I think that
Yeah.
every streamer, every person on Twitch is gonna have that moment of like, dude, like it's tough. I don't have it in me right now, and that's and in fact that's a good diagnosis that maybe some things need to change or your mentality needs to change or something.
Yeah.
So kind of keeping an eye out for that is a really good practice, because there were a lot of times that in the past that I've tried to do full time in my mind, that I didn't. I let those little things creep in, and then I decided, oh, it's okay for me to take tonight off, even though I said I was going to stream, even though people are expecting me to stream.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, if it's Sunday through Thursday and we're coming up on 7:00, I better be in my chair. I better be ready to go, just like a job, but not treating it like a job. It's like I'm pumped. I'm excited. I'm ready to do it. I'm like sitting there at like 6:30, and I'm like sitting in my chair and I'm rubbing my hands together. I'm like, all right, okay. Like what's going to happen tonight, and enthused about it.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is kind of my prep work to keep myself and in that mentality to be excited for it. And then when we were talking about a little bit, I brought it up regarding in my definition of the difference between a streamer and a broadcaster. If you use the term broadcaster, I think that it extends a little bit beyond streamer. I think that in my mind, a streamer is somebody who has things set up to stream, and they stream. They stream on occasions. They stream sometimes consistently, but overarchingly, it's something that is not at the forefront necessarily. So there might be, a lot of areas of inconsistency.
Right.
Yeah.
And what I view in a broadcaster and how I think about that is that they have like a high sense of commitment to their work, or their not necessarily work, but their craft. So when they say they're going to do something, they're going to stick to it. Why? Because they're a broadcaster and they take pride in that. So like regular and like TV broadcasts, they have their scheduled programming,
Mm-hmm.
so in the same concept as when, and somebody was like, what I really like about you, Larz, is that, when it's 7 on, this given day, I know to expect you because you're going to be here.
Right.
Yeah.
And that sense of consistency really drives home the point how serious you take it.
Yeah.
And it's okay to not like take it extremely seriously, but if you're wanting to push forth and try and make it your lifeblood and something that you want to do as a career potentially, I think that you got to have that sense of loyalty to what you're doing.
Yeah. So basically it's come around to saying that Nathan is a streamer in this situation and I'm the broadcaster.
Wow.
Ooh, shots fired.
Coming out like that, dude.
Dang.
I'm just kidding, buddy. I love you.
All right. I'm quitting my job tomorrow.
Well, there's nothing wrong
Tomorrow's
with
Sunday, never mind.
I'm not saying you have to quit your job and have a schedule and like those kinds of things to be a broadcaster.
I could never
I'm saying,
quit my
like,
job.
man, you gotta have that sense of pride and like ownership of what you're doing. I think that those are the things that really drive it.
Basically, it sounds like my failing workout schedule is how I view it. Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
you wake up, go to work, and you're like, I don't need to go to the gym today. That's about how it goes for me. So
Yeah, it's me every day.
So there's a few things that I think just kind of the information that you have and that you hold and that you, I guess, talk about on the podcast and broadcast it out to people. And I know you've talked about stuff like this on your stream as well, but I I have a few like controversial Twitch topics that I want your insight on. Not really controversial, but like there's a lot of back and forth on whether they're good things or bad things.
So what you're doing? This smells like a trap. I feel like I'm about to make a lot of enemies.
No, it's just
No.
I actually, especially on this first one, I actually kind of agree with both sides in a way, but I think both of them have good things to say. Which is,
I'll give you a forefront and tell you that I'm pretty diplomatic as it is, so I'm probably going to explain kind of my side on things, and not necessarily a neutral way, but I'll probably I'll probably have an opinion, but I'll probably see both sides of it. I'm really understanding. I like to look at things in all different lights. So yeah, hit me. What do you got?
All right, so the first one I have is follow for follow.
Oof, gross, disgusting. Throw it in the trash. Get rid of it. Burn it with a fire. It is garbage, and it's okay. So at TwitchCon, I went to a panel, and they actually talked a little bit about this whole concept. Here's what you get out of follow for follow. The instant gratification, similar to pulling a Hot Pocket out of the microwave and putting it in your mouth, okay? As soon as that Hot Pocket hits your digestive system, and like 20 minutes later when you're on the toilet for like 30 minutes, you realize what a terrible thing you've done. Okay, same concept as when people come in and you see that notification, you see, oh, dude, somebody just followed me. Hell yeah, boom, 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 boom. I'm really cool. Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
And then you never see that little kumquat again. Yeah. It's gone. What does it do for you? Other than like inflate your ego, and all it does is kind of give you this almost unhealthy gauge of how you're doing.
Well, this is the part that I hate. Like anybody that comes and follows our podcast, we'll typically go and follow them back, whether they're just a viewer of Twitch podcasts or they're a broadcaster or whatever they're doing. We'll follow them back, just because, hey, they want to come check us out. We'll follow them back to check them out, anything that they pop up. Well, we started finding out that people were coming and following us. We were going to follow them back. And then like 2 weeks later, they would unfollow us. I was like, motherfuckers, look at this.
That's kind of the incentive with a lot of people do. Because a lot of people have figured out that that's the game. If you follow someone, somebody realizes like, oh shit, this person followed me. Oh, let me go check them out. Oh, they also produce content. I'm gonna give them a follow, check them out. And then once they've gotten what they wanted out of it, they pull out. The way I look at like a healthy I didn't expect that.
Sorry. Didn't mean to throw you off there.
It was a good belly laugh. Thank you. I don't even know where I was going. All right, let's see what else we got here. It's just
I keep my mouth shut.
No, it was great. Welcome it. Please pull out more. Pull out more.
Well, kind of to pull the train back on the tracks here. So my opinion on follow for follow, I am 99% with you. But
all right, let's see the 1% because I'm really curious about that. I see very little healthy benefits from it, but yeah, let's see.
It's just one thing that I think is a benefit. I think like if you're trying to build a community that way, you're out of your mind. If that's all you're going for is numbers, you're out of your mind. Like all that stuff is the wrong reason to do it. But I think the one good thing that can come from follow to follow is just the world we live in, where sponsors, for example, if you have a potential, let's say you go to like here in Seattle, they have a thing called SOBA, which is Seattle Online Broadcasting Association. And every month they meet up with a bunch of streamers and broadcasters. So let's say a sponsor went to that event and they're taking a bunch of names down for these streamers to get sponsored. So they start checking everyone out. If they see someone like let's use you as an example. They go to your channel. They're like, oh, this guy has good viewership. He's good on camera. He's really good at streaming. and I don't know what your follow numbers are on Twitter, but let's say at that point they're like, all right, let's see what kind of followers he has. They go to Twitter and you have like 50 followers, and you're like, wait a second, no one's going to see this guy as far as on Twitter, and we kind of want to push wherever we can. So the follow for follow, the one benefit I see is when there's sponsors looking at you, because numbers do matter in that sense, and it sucks that they're empty numbers, but that's all companies will look at.
Yeah, they also look at a ratio, though. Okay, so they look at a ratio versus followed for following,
right?
In my knowledge of it. So when they see like an equal number, a 1 for 1, it just kind of looks like a follow for follow. When I look at that, I look at it and say that looks like a follow for follow count. Somebody that just is like, they're not actually engaging with their potential audience because their audience is 2,500 people that they also have to scroll through on their feed. So they don't know, like they're not having that dialogue on the medium. And I think that a lot of people are kind of going that direction when they look at those kinds of things. I think that they're starting to wisen up to that. But I see what you're saying.
Yeah, and that's the thing though, because that's also the fuckers that go back and unfollow you because
because they want that ratio. They want that golden ratio.
Exactly.
Yep, they'll do it. Yep, that's what it is. That's really what it comes down to. And it looks healthy, right? It looks like you have because what it ends up looking like is like, oh, people really like this person. No, a lot of people just got duped.
Right. We've been duped a lot. That's all right.
Yeah, like I have been too, though, because I used to do the follow for follow thing. I used to freaking suck that thing's dick. And think I was doing something there. And then I just kind of realized, like, I stopped seeing these people, man. I was like, so I went through my Twitter and I was like, okay, so we never talk anymore. We never talk anymore. We never talk anymore. What are these relationships? What does this matter?
Yeah.
Because it's nothing. And, you know, I think that regarding Twitter is a really interesting thing in general. A lot of people only post their going live stuff, or they just post on Twitter these, you know, I just took a poop and it smelled like cheese fries.
Hell
and
yeah.
like, okay, poop, like, dude. Cool. But you know, having like I think a lot of things when it comes down to having a like healthy stream feed from your Twitter is like having this extra level of engagement, because, you know, just text is one thing. I think it's like your foundation. Right. But then when you start adding extra levels of engagement, you know, we're talking about pictures, or then even GIFs or links. And then even beyond that, you know, custom content, you know, so like grabbing a snippet from one of your clips as a broadcaster and then turning it into a GIF, and then turning that GIF into something that you can push on Twitter. When I start seeing accounts that do that, I'm like, dude, this person's got some solid branding and they know what they're doing, man. Right. Because their audience is going to look at that and be like, oh, that's them. And it's iconic.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's a lot of different ways to engage with your audience. I think that there's also some really successful people on Twitch that have zero presence in Twitter.
It's true.
It's not because in all reality, it necessarily doesn't matter.
Right.
You know, I don't think I actually get a lot of, and I have a decent number of followers on Twitter. I think I don't really pay attention too much to it. I'll check it real quick. Yeah, I have about 800 people following me on Twitter. I don't know how many people actually really care about whatever I tweet, but it doesn't really matter. Right. I don't think I get a lot of people traffic into my Twitch necessarily from there. But what it does for me is that it solidifies that bond in the relationships that I have. So like, let's say like there were a lot of people at TwitchCon that I'd meet, and then we had good conversations, and we kind of I don't like the word networking, but we like had some good basis for discussions, and then kind of figured out that we had some mutual interests, and then we could possibly help one each other grow.
Yeah.
And then that relationship kind of stretched a little bit further to Twitter. And, you know, so I think that it is a pathway to where you're going. More than anything. So, yeah.
All right. We will come back to TwitchCon because I do want to go over that. But
sure. Yeah.
First, I want to go kind of the next little, it's not really controversial, but so what do you think about channels that show their sub goal or how many subs they have? Things like that. Do you look down upon that? Do you think that's a good thing, bad thing? How do you feel about like sharing your subs or sharing your sub goal?
I think there's nothing wrong with it. Personally, I think that a lot of it has to go with a matter of the intent. What's your intent? Are you putting that number up there as a carrot for people to like to entice them? Because I guarantee that won't be necessarily the thing that will sway the majority towards like, so if somebody sees that, you know, you have a sub goal, that won't be the determining factor of whether or not they're going to sub. But it may play into it. Is it beneficial? Yeah. Are there cons to it? Absolutely. I personally don't do it because that's something that I don't ever want people to kind of get the impression when they come to my channel that I'm using them for monetary gain.
Right.
And I'm not saying that anybody who does that is doing that. I would be scared that I would have that, people would have that perception of me. I don't want to give them any reason to doubt.
We've talked to some people about this, and my whole thing upon I don't want to try and sway your opinion any way. So I take this at face value, but I feel like people on Twitch or anybody putting out any kind of content where people are getting entertainment out of it for free, I feel like you should never feel like you putting something out there like that makes people think that, oh, they're just putting that out there trying to get me to sub. Fuck this guy. I'm going to go somewhere else. Because I honestly don't see that being something that people on Twitch, because everybody that watches Twitch knows that you can subscribe, you can donate. These people are doing this as a livelihood. And I can't, I don't know. To me, when people have that number up there, it allows me to see, this person is doing this well with their amount of viewers, their community's taking care of them. If I come into a stream where, they have 1,500 people that watch them all the time, but they only have 100 subs, I'm like, fuck, like, this guy's...
What are you doing wrong?
Well, not necessarily what are you doing wrong.
But
what's wrong with your fucking community? Like,
what
those
bot
people should
community did he buy?
Yeah, what view bots are you using?
View bots, yeah. I think that you kind of hit on like a good interesting point. I think that it does kind of give. So we talked about the pulse and the baseline and the gauge of understanding the health of a community, and I think that it kind of gives people, whether or not they've been in your channel 5 seconds or 5 years, a good good look into the streamer's eyes as to what makes what looks healthy. And they can make that kind of determination on their own. I think that it's good, right? And I think that let me pose to you a little bit of my alternative versus a sub goal. So I don't display it anywhere on stream, but I don't withhold that information either.
Right.
And when we get close to like breaking through some sort of milestone of any sort, I still like to celebrate it with the community.
Right.
So I don't want those goals there because I don't want them to be the driving factor, and I don't want them to give me any reason to feel bad about myself or the community feel bad about themselves if we don't meet some of those goals or whatever. But when we do break through some sort of milestone or something, I want us to fucking go hog wild crazy because we just did something awesome. And everybody that was involved in it is a part of it. Whether or not they're, like, so if we took an example, a sub goal, right? So even if they're not subbed, but they were there and they were supporting and or even if they were lurking or never even spoke a word, maybe they came in from a raid and then they just kind of hung out and watched while they, they played games on their own or, or cleaning their house or something, they're a part of that. And I think that they should still have that level of recognition and excitement and being a part of that celebration. I think that is healthy. I think that it's to each their own. I think that me personally, I also just like keep a lot of stuff regarding like stream display really, really clean and minimal.
Right.
I don't have like an overlay. I do alerts, my cam, and like I think the most I do with on-screen like bells and whistles, like are a heart rate monitor if I'm playing a horror game and a scream counter usually.
Right. Yeah.
And that's just because I want it to kind of look clean. It's just kind of played into my branding. I don't want it to be cluttered. I don't want a bunch of like, if people want a bunch of adverts, they'll go to freaking like the Time News or whatever, like they'll go someplace on the internet that have a lot of that. I don't want to throw that back.
They'll play Candy Crush.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like my whole thing about showing your sub goal, I think it is mostly on preference. Like you said, it's not really necessarily good or bad to do it or not do it, but I do think, you know, let's say you're at 299 subs and your goal is 300. It kind of riles up the chat to like either help you out, or they're like, oh, this guy should sub, or someone gifts a sub. It can definitely help like the community enjoy themselves seeing your success, because, you know, I've heard Bert Kreischer say this. I don't know if you know who that is, the comedian.
Yeah, okay.
But he makes a really good point on what a true fan really is. And a true fan of someone is someone that just enjoys seeing their success. They don't really care about anything else other than this guy is successful and I'm happy for him. I truly am happy for that person because of their success. And that's, I think, really a good way to look at it. So even with a sub goal, I don't think like your true community that follows you and watches you every night, those people, if you had a sub goal on there or not, wouldn't care, because they're there for you.
No, they wouldn't. Yeah, I think a lot of it comes in terms of like the traction of new folks. I don't want them to feel in any way like you know, they're prey and this is a predator prey situation. I think also that if we're going to talk psychological levels of things too regarding fandom, I think that also not displaying it has its own element of enticing a viewer, right?
Yeah.
Because not knowing what that number is makes people kind of wonder, and then they start putting like, you know, you ever like you go to like the mall, right, and they've got that fountain in the middle of the mall and there's a bunch of coins in there. Like, you ever think like how many coins there actually are, how much money is in there?
I always want to know how many subs,
you know, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't stop you from putting a quarter in there, though.
Right. Yeah.
You know, you're down 25 cents and that fountain is up 25 cents. It doesn't stop you from investing in it.
Yep.
Right.
You know, some janitor is going to come in and clean the fountain and take all those pennies out, you know?
Damn, that's where they go, huh? I never knew
same concept holds true when you don't show what necessarily your goal is when it comes to some sort of monetary thing. People look at that, you know, they'll maybe put their own number, imaginative. There's the word,
like
imaginative
number.
Yeah, they'll put their own number in there, and it kind of helps them kind of put you in their like how they need to see you in that moment, you know.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'll say it, like I'll come up, like we actually we broke through 150 subs recently, and and you know, said something on stream and people got really fucking hyped, and nobody knew that we were even close to that until then.
Right.
But people were no different as a result. I don't want that. I don't want any external factors like that to determine how people act. I think is a lot of it too.
Yeah.
I give myself as transparent as possible. I want people to do the same.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so let's go ahead and segue then into TwitchCon. So I know you went to TwitchCon.
Yeah.
3 of the APM streamers went to TwitchCon. We got their takes on it. Now I kind of want to know yours and what you, how you felt about it. You've been before, right? Or is this your first time?
No, I haven't been before. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
I have not been before. I really wanted to go last year. But it kind of like snuck up on me and I had no way to do it. I also don't think that I would have benefited the same way I did this year.
Yeah.
If I had gone last year. Man, it was a, dude, I don't even know how to, it was surreal. I'll just like, that's the best word I can use. It was surreal. So when you've invested countless hours and like into something, and then you get to tangibly see something as a result, it is so unique, and so satisfying, man. I met people that I've talked to for the last 8 months, year, some folks even longer, and got to shake hands, hug them, talk to them, eat meals with them.
Yeah.
You know, like, and like those kinds of relationships are going to be the ones that like last even longer.
Yeah.
Like, there I know for a fact that there's some folks that I spent time with at TwitchCon that if I stopped streaming tomorrow and like never went back to Twitch, even the website, never typed in twitch.tv into my address bar ever again, I would still have a relationship with some of these folks. And that is why I stream, because I Like, I'm going for those relationships, man. I want those. You're gonna have them with everybody, but those mean so much to me, man. There was also a lot to learn, man, and I met a lot of new people. A lot of people that like I'm like totally sold out for the content they're making on Twitch, and I've known them less than a month now, and I freaking want to see them succeed. I want to see them do things and grow and build their communities and help benefit others because of it. And it's such a like it sounds cliche and corny, but it's such a freaking magical thing. Like,
yeah,
man, like
I'm
it was
so
like
excited,
being
dude.
12 years old and going to Disneyland,
Yeah.
man. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. It was
No,
cool, man. It was really, really great.
yeah. Like that's a big thing. That's our big plan for next year is going to TwitchCon
Yes.
and getting a
Get your asses to TwitchCon, man.
yeah.
It's like, even, it doesn't even, man, even if you don't have like a big involvement in Twitch, but you have some sort of, if Twitch brings you anything, and there's people that you want to like, meet, then
Yeah.
TwitchCon is the place to do it, man.
No,
Like
especially
all
for
the
the-
people. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, especially for the nature of our podcast, we talk to
Yeah.
content creators. That's just a huge con to go to for that.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
I was just gonna say, like, all the people that we've had on the podcast, like, I feel like we've made so many friendships with all the people that we've had on because we get to sit down and talk to them individually for an hour, maybe sometimes a little bit longer. But like, I'd love to be able to go, and I think it's only 3 days, 4 days, but
3 days, yeah.
like,
Well, I
wanna
think
go-
technically 4, yeah, because they have a dev day usually.
Oh, okay.
They did at least this year, and I think last year too. But yeah,
But it would be so badass to go and actually meet all the people we've talked to face to face and, actually sit down and hang out, chug a
Yeah.
few beers, and actually just get to develop friendships would be awesome.
yeah, absolutely, yeah, hands down. It's a one of a kind experience, man. I'm already like stoked for next year, and it's
It's a year
11
away.
months away. Yeah.
Well, what our plan right now is with the APM team, the streamers that we've brought on board and us, we plan to get an Airbnb and throw a huge party at some point.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
you are more than welcome, of course.
Oh heck yeah, dude!
So it's gonna be
Freaking that'd be sweet. Love
gonna
it.
be
Yeah.
gonna be awesome. But we're gonna go ahead and finish the podcast off talking a little bit about Twitch communities and the new team that you're a part of called Clever Nation. So tell us a little bit about that and all of that. So
Yeah, I'd love to. So we've kind of brought up the term community several times, and I think that man, it is it's such a wonderful thing, dude. People come to Twitch to have some sort of connection with people, with other people, and I think that a lot of people, the game is just the medium in which it comes through, and then so even if we look at a microscopic level first about individual communities, and then we kind of stretch it a little bit further,
Mhm.
your individual community is, kind of your own sphere of influence, and you have direct control over that. And then if you stretch it out a little bit more and talk about the other streamers that you collaborate with and that you've built relationships with, outside of like formal communities, but these are just like people that like you have interactions with on Twitch that also
Mhm.
broadcast. Then you start kind of seeing this almost Venn diagram where your spheres of influence start to cross over, and then you start seeing correlations between viewership and other people that you interact with. So like Joe Schmo that you saw in Suzanne's channel. I don't know why I picked these names, but whatever.
Like Suzanne,
Comes to your channel one day and says hi, and now we're like strengthening this bond over other people too. And then you kind of start pulling things out a little bit further, and you start looking at communities and stream teams. Communities was something that was really, really cool. That was a function of Twitch. It's long since gone now, and rest in peace, communities and
Right.
tags. For respects there, but I think that it's a healthy thing because it was a little bit of a crutch, and it wasn't necessarily serving a purpose after a certain point, because it was just really saturated and it's hard to find those communities. Now we have tags, which are a little bit more identifying for the individual stream, and I think that's good. And then what we have is still those communities are alive still, so it's not like they go anywhere. Those relationships still stay there, whether or not there's a blue hyperlink for you to click on a page. And I think even a step further, and you look at stream teams, this is the inner workings of these communities. These are folks that are tightly knit and have a strong cohesive bond and a similar goal, and we're all working towards that goal. Clever Nation is a really, really awesome one, because so a lot of people get the misconstrued understanding that Clever Nation. So there's a gentleman named Christopher Clever, and he's an awesome guy. Got to spend a lot of time with him at TwitchCon. We actually bunked up together. I slept, just 6 inches away from him, and he's a freaking stud. So he's an awesome dude.
That's suspicious. But go ahead.
Yes, that was on purpose. And a lot of people get this idea that because Christopher Clever Nation, and that it's his, and that he is like the king, guru of it all. I think that having conversations with him, he is very much probably one of the more, if not most at times, invested in the community, but like he is very humble, and it's not his team. He looks at it as our team, and he looks at it as our community, and everybody has a voice, and everybody has a certain buy-in, and that he's not at the top of some sort of pyramid scheme where he's the one, at the end of the day, making off like a bandit, or whatever. But because he really, like, from the start, he talked about this being something born out of true support for support, that you get what you give in it, and it's stayed like that, and I never want to see that change, because that, like we talked about with follow for follow before, the underlying desire out of follow for follow is this just dirty, gross selfishness. And I think there's a lot of people that that come to Twitch with this pipe dream of making something great for themselves, and I think that's wonderful. And then when they start doing unhealthy things to try and attain their goals, they start poisoning the well. And I've seen a lot of communities suffer because it all became about me, what's in it for me, and all these individuals just trying to take from one another and not give. And man, I have met some people through Clever Nation that have been there for me on and off stream, and have seen me through some really difficult, dark times. And I couldn't speak more highly of them. And I want to encourage anybody who might listen to this, that if you're looking for a Twitch community to get involved in, this is a shameless plug kind of thing, but you should check us out, because and if you don't fit with it and it doesn't jive with you, cool, I want you to find that still. But you never know, you might, find that this is a good place for you, and you should check it out. But it's we've got a website that's really cool, because since the community tags have gone away, we still have what are called our community streamers, which if they're not a part of the stream team, they can still be broadcast live through the website too. So there's an embedded version where on the website where the Twitch stream itself, when they're live, is embedded on the page. So
that's cool. You
can go through and see a bunch of Clever Nation peeps that are live at a given time. So that's at clevernation.net/live. And
that's awesome.
So Chris had this genius idea of doing that when he knew tags were going away for that. So that we could keep that cohesiveness and that community aspect. So yeah, it's really cool, man. I'm really, really pleased with where it's going, man. And I think that a lot of it is built on balance between where the control lies. If you give your community too much control, then you're just it's a total mutiny, and you have no idea what's going on ever. If you take all the control, then it's a dictatorship, and everybody fears you. And exactly. You're the only one who really benefits, with quotes, and that's not good. So when you have that balance, you start to see what people really want, and that's love and support from one another.
Yeah, man, awesome. Yeah, it sounds like it's definitely a good fit. Anyway, So that kind of rounds everything out there. Larz, it's been a pleasure again.
Yeah,
for a second
absolutely.
time.
It's already been an hour. Jesus
yeah, it's
Christ.
I know. I feel like there's still so much more I want to talk about, but this has been such a great conversation.
Yeah.
Man, like, you know, Twitch is such a wonderful, beautiful place, man. And I'm so grateful for all the experiences that I've had as a result of being on it.
Yeah.
It's because it's full of beautiful, wonderful people like yourself.
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't mean that like, yeah, me. I mean, like, yeah, there's like so many awesome people on Twitch, and I'm always so happy to like, you know, stumble through a stream and meet somebody that I'm gonna fucking fall in love with and think they're awesome, man.
Yeah.
You're one of them, dude, for sure.
Well, thanks, dude. I appreciate that, man. And I'm just like, I'm nobody special, dude. I'm just some dork who gets on and plays games and laughs and, you know, treats people the way I'd want to be treated. And I think it goes a long ways. And
It does.
you know, I'm really grateful for all the people that, you know, have invested in me, invested in each other, to make what, you know, this whole Twitch community thing that I'm a part of, as great as it is. You know, I honestly don't think I'd be here without them. So, no, I know I wouldn't be here without them. Fuck, man, I wouldn't. Yeah, no way.
All right, man. Well, just to end everything, just throw out some plugs that people can check you out at. What, like social media, your Twitch channel, all that stuff.
Yeah. So twitch.tv/Larz. That's the easy one. Things get weird when you start talking about Twitter. It is, my handle is Larz_TTV. So I always joke about it being TDTV. No, I don't have those. I'm really flat, actually, unfortunately. So, Larz_TTV. Twitch TV is what that would stand for, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. I have an Instagram. It's just a bunch of shit posting. It is, oh shit, what is my Instagram? It is Larz_TV. So more inconsistency. Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah, dude, it's the best.
And then, if you want to get involved with Clever Nation, check out, the website is a good first step. There's a link to the Discord. So go to clevernation.net and you can kind of navigate and kind of feel your way out through there. Join the Discord, introduce yourself, say, hey, we'd love to talk to you. Myself, as well as many other people. We've got some amazing community managers that are going to be genuinely interested in you as a person, not just for what it would bring them. So come by, stop through and say, hey, check out some folks in the community and see what their broadcasts are like, see if it's something you'd be interested in getting involved with. It's growing like all the time, but it never feels too big, if that makes sense,
Oh yeah.
So
wish I never felt too big.
Say what?
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 I wish I never felt too big. I kind of mumbled that one out there.
I didn't even catch that.
It's not the size, it's how you use it, man.
That's right.
That's
That's what I tell myself every day.
Yeah. No, you guys are awesome. Thanks for having me, man. Like, seriously, I really, really appreciate the conversation. Fucking like love talking about these things because like it's something that rolls around in my head all the time. Like I said, like pretty much from the time I get out of bed until I go back to bed each day, like something's going on through my head about Twitch, or just things that involve it. And it's really cool to have conversations like this and kind of share what my insights are. And dude, like, it's cool because everybody's is a little bit different, man. So yeah,
awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on, man. It was a blast as always. And other than that, guys, we will see you next week.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Hey, you. Yes, you. Thank you so much for listening to the episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and even if you didn't, we would love to hear your feedback, which can be sent to cold1podcast@gmail.com or leave us a review on iTunes. It helps us gauge how we can make this podcast better for your enjoyment. If you would like to contact us, you can do that through our email or follow us on social media, which is @cold1podcast for Twitter and Facebook. We are now on Spotify as well as most podcast apps in existence. But if you prefer to listen to it online, head on over to our website, actionsperminute.net, for the latest episodes, a link to the APM Network Discord, or to check out any of our APM-sponsored streamers. And lastly, if you like what we do, tell your friends and spread the good word. Thank you again, and remember,
don't drink and drive.